Okay.
9:30.
9:31.
Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. The first item is approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, say no. Minutes of the July 19th, 2022 board meeting. I'm not sure we can approve. I wasn't here, so
Okay.
maybe we should put them on for next week.
Okay.
Okay, this is a public hearing to approve the plan, specs, and estimate for the new courthouse window project. I'd entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
I'll second that. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say no. Do you have any written comments?
No, there were none.
Are there any oral comments or questions about the windows? Okay, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say no. Resolution number 39, 2022, a resolution approving the plans, specs, and estimate for the courthouse window project.
What was the total cost in that? Did you?
It's 1.3 million. That's the median. It could be as low as 1.2, but the median was 1.3 million.
Moved it.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say no. Personnel, request for payroll approval, change of employment for county conservation.
Moved it.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Request for payroll approval, new hire interpreter for DHS. I looked back and I believe it was 4 years ago, we were paying the interpreter $15 an hour. That's what's proposed this time. We may want to review that. We haven't been able to keep them very long. This is the motion to approve the new hire.
Motion approved.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say no. Motorola, Iowa, statewide interoperable communication system presentation.
Input on TV. Yeah, I don't think it that's on. So I think maybe if you record with this version, share the screen, we'll record then. No, it has to be on the same PC. Oh, that's it, okay. Okay. No problem. Morning. Chad Yappo with Motorola Solutions, local account rep for Wapello County. I do live in the Des Moines area, and I cover this part of the state as well as the state agencies. So the reason why I'm here is I've been meeting with some of your neighboring counties and agencies, talking about the Iowa statewide radio system, which is a Motorola built system. It is something on the 911 board level. I know we've met with Wapello 911 boards last fall. I know they're exploring their options amongst a lot of other counties throughout the state. So the reason why I'm here is more Because a lot of times these conversations, if not sooner than later, end up being talked about on a supervisor level. And so the reason why I was here is more just to give kind of what I call an abbreviated ISIX overview of the statewide radio system. So like I said, basically just overview the system, Q&A. I know I originally asked for 30 minutes, but we'll be well below that as well. So before I started, I guess on the supervisor level, have you guys ever heard of the statewide system, radio system? Okay.
I get emails occasionally.
Do you? Okay. So basically just a high level overview, the ISIX statewide radio system. The state basically, you know, after 9/11, obviously there was a lot of not a good way to communicate nationwide. And so the state had what was called the LEA system. That was a VHF system. And then in 2015, they put out an RFP for a statewide 7,800 megahertz radio system. It was competitively bid. Motorola was awarded the contract in December of 2015 to build the system. The system was officially accepted last year, so it's not just a thing, it is a real thing now. But there was a lot of agencies, in addition to the state, that were using the system well before it was officially accepted by the state last year. So again, the challenge to spare radio systems, have one system that everyone can communicate better with each other. So basically with the ISIX platform, again, it's the largest P25 system in Iowa. There is 90 plus sites, and then I will show a map of where the sites are throughout the state. There are, last time I heard, there was just shy of 30,000 users on ISIX, and of those just shy of 30,000 users, only about 5,000 at the state agencies. So sometimes there's a misconception that oh, you know, this is a system, it's only built for the state and stuff like that. Well, a mass majority of the users on ISIX are, you know, local agencies such as yourself, 900 plus agencies. Starting point for operability. The way the system was built was 95% mobile coverage statewide. So border to border mobile coverage. When I say mobile coverage, that is the mobile radio light that's in the public safety center vehicles there. One thing that's unique about this system, so Motorola has several statewide systems. They have amassed pretty much all of them here in the Midwest and nationwide. So there is triple redundancy with the statewide system. So a lot of other Motorola built systems, there's dual redundancy, there's actually triple redundancy throughout the state. So what does that mean? Well, if there was a derecho, which it seems like those do get more common, unfortunately, or tornadoes or a blizzard, anything like that. So there are 3 cores throughout the state. There's one in Storm Lake, one in Des Moines, Cedar Rapids. So if one of those cores goes down, it doesn't miss a beat. The system is still up and running. So the system really has been put to the test the last couple of years between, you know, the most severe derecho that we had almost about 2 years ago. There's been a few other derechos and some other storms, natural disasters. The system has not missed a beat, stuff like that. I mean, obviously, you don't want those incidents to happen, but it just shows how resilient the system is. It is connected to redundant microwave throughout the state. Some of this I've mentioned already, but so basically system reliability. So all the sites are monitored 24/7, 365 by the state itself. They have what's called the NOC, and then our headquarters in Schaumburg in Illinois as well. There are several local Motorola radio shops throughout the state, local technicians. All the sites are secured, climate controlled, battery backup, redundant backhaul. So technically, you could say everyone in the state is on ISIX. I know Wapello County and Ottumwa PD, they're technically on ISIX, as in, so the state of Iowa received a grant a couple of years to provide a control station for every PSAP throughout the state. And so technically, you could say everyone is technically on ISIX. Control station is how you can communicate. One way, the starting point of how you can communicate on ISIX. So there you see it. It's a lot of information, maybe a little bit hard to see where you're at there, but basically this shows the state of Iowa. It's not 100% up to date, but it's fairly accurate. All the blue dots are state towers, and all the blue stars are local enhancements. So local enhancement means if a county, whether they have a state site or not, if they want, better in-building coverage or anything like that, that's when a lot of times they do put up their own site. So unfortunately, there is not a state site in Wapello County, but as you can see on the map, there's several counties that does not have state sites. Okay, so Chad, well, why does every county have a state site? Well, again, when the system was built, it was built for 95% mobile coverage statewide. And so between that spec, which is a common spec even for other state systems throughout the nation, and then utilizing existing assets, state land and stuff like that. Again, some counties got sites and some deny. And then when you see those little black lines between each site, that's the microwave backhaul, which microwave is the most reliable redundancy. I'm not the state, but speaking on behalf of the state I know is working with the governor's office on state ARP money. And I know as far as the state, it's very high up on their list if they get this money from the state, putting up a state site here in Wapello County. It is high up on their list. And then also part of that state ARP request that DPS and the ISIX board has put on the state. They're also trying to get a grant program where if an agency joined ISIX and if they want to put their own local enhancements or their own towers as well, the state would do a match grant as well. So, sure.
Are you, Chad?
Good. Before I go to the next screen, any questions on the screen? I know it's a lot of information. Okay. So again, this shows, I know it's a little hard to see with the color. This is the statewide coverage, statewide mobile coverage. And where you see the white, and again, I know it's hard to see where you're at right now. It doesn't mean there's no coverage. It's just there's not the 95% coverage guarantee. So it's not like a cell phone. A lot of our maps are pretty conservative. Granted, there are some spots, especially up there in Northeast Iowa and some of those riverbeds, there may truly be a dead spot, but again, it's 95% mobile coverage. So even some of those white spots could be 90, it could be 80. When I say coverage guarantee, it's not just talk, it's talk and listen, full radio transmission and stuff like that. So this is what a traditional ISIX tower site looks like, a state site. This one's actually in Carroll County. So most towers are anywhere 250 to 300 foot. You see there's usually, gravel going up to the site, fenced in, air conditioned, climate controlled shelter. And then there is propane and a generator as well. So even throughout the last couple of years with the derechos and stuff like that, obviously some of these towers have lost power, but since they have generators and propane, again, the system is still prevailed. So again, some of the cost benefits of joining ISIX, again, use the infrastructure that's already in place, such as the geo-redundant cores. Other than buying equipment to operate on ISIX, there is no ongoing fees to be on ISIX. Now, there are some other statewide systems, such as Starcom, which is the Illinois State Radio System, that does charge an ongoing fee. That is something that from the beginning, the state of Iowa said that's something we're not going to do, and we're never going to do that. So, and again, no financial responsibility to update and maintain cores and existing towers and backhaul. Again, I understand you guys don't have the state site here, but if the state was to put up a state site in the future, again, that's for the state to maintain, not you. And then all of our equipment, whether it's mobiles, portable radios, dispatch, port connected dispatch consoles, and towers, it's all on a competitively bid state contract. So again, I know I kind of covered this before. What does ISIX maintain? What does the county maintain? Again, ISIX maintains all of their state sites, all the radios that they have in their inventory. And then if you guys were to, right now, it's called your inoperable or your interoperability on ISIX. What happened there? interoperability on IS6. If you were to be operable on IS6, again, other than buying the equipment and maintaining that, that's all the county's responsible for. I don't know what's going on with my computer, but I was almost done anyway. So, the other slide I was going to cover is it's not just public safety that can join IS6. There's a lot of other counties that are on IS6 that other agencies that are eligible is schools, secondary roads, rural electrical co-ops and stuff like that. There are several counties that are on IS6 that even though those entities are also eligible to join IS6 as well. So I mean, that's pretty much what I had to cover. I mean, I don't know if you guys had anything to chime in, kind of where you're at in your process or any other details or anything like that. I know we had met with you guys last fall, kind of in this similar to this. It's kind of a little bit more in detail, but and again, like I said, just wanted to get the information out there that if you guys ever go this direction, just to be really make informed decisions and stuff like that.
So to be part of it, what has to happen?
So really to be part of it, so in terms of, I mean, there is the equipment, and I'll be upfront too. You do not have to have, at least on the radio side, like the mobiles and portables, you do not have to have Motorola radios on IS6. Now, being the salesperson that I am, I mean, Motorola equipment works better on a Motorola built system. So other than buying the equipment to be on IS6, and then you would apply for what's called access and local talk groups on IS6, which is no cost to do that. IS6 themselves, when I say IS6, I mean the state provides free training on IS6, whether it's in dispatch or jail or patrol. They provide a lot of free training themselves. So really, other than being what's called operable on IS6, and that's between buying equipment to get on IS6, which that would be, through Motorola, and applying for IS6 through the state there. I mean, that's pretty much about it. And then obviously there has to be talks amongst yourselves on, okay, how are we going to set it up? Because you can set up your own local talk groups. I mean, there are what's called regional talk groups, and that's how you can talk to people like state patrol and stuff like that. So Blakesburg here in Wapello County, they're using IS6 today, and they're very happy with it too. So that you already have one entity in the county that's already using it today. So.
What's the ballpark cost to be involved?
So that's the other thing about the benefit of IS6 is it's totally scalable. Every county is different on how they would get on IS6, because a lot of it comes down to what type of coverage do I want in this, what type of coverage do I want in the county. So what some other counties have done in IS6, like especially the smaller schools and stuff, like where schools are at, that's a lot of times where they may put up additional towers, or wanting what's called local enhancements, or put up additional towers in the county. So it really just depends on what scale of IS6 you want to do. I mean, you could buy radios today that are IS6 capable and start using IS6. We have what's called the core connected dispatch consoles as well, which that's something that's only available through Motorola and stuff like that. You can do, to answer your question, sir, I mean, it's totally scalable, and that varies what the pricing would be. So,
Donnie, do we have Motorola equipment now?
No, we use Kenwood and Harris with Raycom as our vendor that we use now. But to answer part of your question, Jerry, it's kind of, our current tower we have is, I believe it's almost 10 years old. And, it just, this was a pipe dream back when they built our tower here. Our tower, when it was built, was top of the line system at the time. Somebody told me, I don't remember who it was, that typically these radio systems last about 15 years. So as a 911 board, we've been looking at Sarah and IS6 to try and see if we can come up with an option that works for us, because we think we need to look at the current, looking forward to the new next system we're going to use. This kind of the grant that emergency management put together that was written to kind of cover some of the radios that maybe we're purchasing. So I guess we're kind of hoping maybe that grant comes available to us down the road, and we get awarded that to where, you know, that would be a huge cover with that. And then as a 911 board, we have to decide, do we want to build a new system with Sarah or with or go with Essex? It's kind of, you know, honestly, I had a conversation with the 911 board chair the other day after the meeting, like, you know, maybe we should try Essex and see how it works. And it's already built, it's already there in place. It doesn't cost us anything other than the equipment, because both our K9 vehicles have dual band radios, which we could easily put the system on there and see how it works. You know, Marion County Sheriff talks very highly of it. So we're just kind of weighing our options and what's available to us right now.
The greatest challenge is that, not to get too far in the weeds right now, but it'll change us regardless of what system we go to. It'll change from a VHF band, which is in the 150s, to a 700 megahertz. And I say that to say that the technology is different in the way the wavelength works. And so technically a higher band doesn't travel as far. So today we're on a VHF system. And the challenges we're having today is just the way our workforce has changed in our public safety. So a large majority of fire and EMS services are done by volunteers. And it used to be that they would respond and they lived and worked in their home community. So that's no longer the case. It has been for a while and it won't. So we're having to pull resources across county. We've recently approved what's called a neighbors plan mutual aid agreement, automatic aid, so that the neighbors automatically are paid for those high level incidents like a house fire. Trouble is, all of those responders are on a portable radio, which is a 5-watt versus a mobile radio, which is typically a 25-watt up to 50 watts. So what's going to have to happen and building up the systems as we talked about this morning, is we're going to put up more systems. We have one tower today. I'd be curious to see what the state's thinking of. They're going to build a tower in the county. I'd love to be part of that conversation.
Oh, no, like I said, it's still TBD. I want to loosely say, like, no,
Yeah.
it's not going to happen.
But-
But it's to a point that, I mean, they're fine with people such as myself mentioning that it's a possibility.
It'd be great, because
Yeah.
what we've looked at, we're studying coverage maps to get to that indoor portable coverage that we need for our responders. We're going to need 4 more towers. And we have one. We need 4 more throughout the county to make all that work, because we're wanting to move to this trunk radio system. And we all use trunk radio systems every day at your cell phone. You know that there's towers everywhere that make that work properly. Well, emergency radios are there. To get the coverage and reliability and performance that we expect, we would have to build 60%. Now, we don't have that today on VHF. We do have challenges today. You have to do things like use vehicle repeaters to use the mobile power to boost your portal back to the central tower in the county. That's been a standard practice with state patrol and with the sheriff's office for a long time in order to make our VHF system. So quite a bit of cost involved, quite a bit of study, quite a bit of thought. I've had conversations about co-locating with cell companies. That's not a freebie either. Grants I applied for was twofold. One was through Emergency Management Office for Homeland Security grant for law enforcement radios. The second was Assistance to Firefighters grant, where the Walker County Rural Fire Agency let me use them as a sponsor to apply for that federal grant. And that would be for mobiles and portables for the fire department. So we won't know about those until October. The combination of both of those was about 1.5 million. So rough estimates, we're still going to need 4.5 to build out the rest of the system.
Well, I'm hearing 2 different things. You know, I hear from you that, oh, we just got to buy some radios.
No,
Now I hear 4 towers.
No, like I said, it's totally scalable. I mean, again, depending on what type of in-building coverage the county wants, and yeah, maybe there will be that many towers. It's just, it really depends, because it's not a cook. So like Essex and all the county counties are on, it's not a cookie cutter, like, okay, every county needs 4 towers or anything like that. It just really depends, because like certainly schools in some communities, you want in-building coverage. You need in-building coverage for a cornfield and stuff like that. Well, maybe not necessarily and stuff like that too. So no, I just want to clarify, it's totally scalable from, you know, starting with having radios in S6, core connected consoles to, you know, maybe having to put up some additional towers as well. So it's just not a cookie cutter thing on what's needed or required on this. So.
But I don't,
Part of the work that I've been working on is trying to come up with what would a scale approach look like, right?
what I don't want to get into is to say, hey, this really sounds good. Let's go buy the radios.
Sure.
And then when we buy the radios, say, well, Jerry, you know, those won't work without having 4 more towers. We're very limited on that use unless you expand it. Because right now, and I'm just speaking for me, I don't think the county is willing to bond for 4 more towers.
Sure.
So if buying the radios and not doing the towers means that we have not improved ourselves very much, probably wouldn't be interested in doing it.
Right. There are some other things in play that you may know more about to talk about. The DPS initiative with the governor's announcement with school safety radios. I don't know where that's at yet. We're still waiting on guidance from the new school safety bureau as part of DPS. That may have some.
So that could help you guys potentially. So basically what that is the governor applied for $100 million from the federal government for ARP money. And of that $100 million, there is a certain amount slated for school radios. And when I say school radios, like the base radios. And the thing is it's for every school. So who qualifies? It's every school district. And it's not just the school district itself, every building qualifies for radios too. And so to Tim's point, that could be another way to offset the cost. And then I know there's some other funding available that's administered through the Homeland Security too for up to 50,000 a building. That again, that's something obviously it's up to the schools, and I'm sure Tim will work with them on that. That could be used for radios as well. That can further offset the cost. So. Yeah.
You guys may have more confidence in the governor giving the money out than I do. We have looked at the bridges. There's supposed to be like millions given to the state of Iowa. We've not seen any.
I totally understand where you're coming from. I mean, what I just mentioned, that's not speculation. Again, I know it's going through the process, but it's approved, and I've met with multiple people from the state, Department of Education, local Homeland Security, DPS, that's going to be administering this whole program. Like it's going to happen. So this isn't just like, oh, the governor's looking at this, and I totally understand. I totally understand that, but that is something that, I mean, you can look it up in the news and stuff like that. Like it's going to happen. But to the point of, you know, the state, if they can get this other funding, putting up a tower here in Wapello County, plus that grant program to match towers. I mean, that's still, you know, to be determined at this point. So. But yeah, like you said, it's a good point that if we go this direction, is it going to help us? And that's where, you know, we can further be part of the conversations and work with Tim and the sheriff and other people on 911 board to determine, you know, what's the best fit and, you know, how many towers are needed and stuff like that, to make sure if you guys go this direction and make this significant investment, are you going to be in a better place than so.
And to make it feel a little bit better about, say we do get those grants and we get the money for the portable radios, it's not all for naught. It's actually helpful as well, because regardless of what direction we do or what steps we take or how fast we do it, law enforcement still needs connectivity to the system. Those radios will work on either system, whether it's S6 or Sarah, it's the same radio. But Don's office especially, covering the county and neighboring counties sometimes, working mutually, needs that capability, and radios would do that.
Anything else?
All right. I think I'm good unless these guys have anything else. I appreciate your time. Like I said, it was just more, like I said, been working with a few other counties too in the area. Just wanted to introduce myself and get the information out there. So if you guys ever go this direction in the future, you guys have more information.
Well, thank you.
I thank you for your time.
Okay. Resolution number 38, 2022, a 28E agreement between Wapco County and the City of Agency regarding hot mix asphalt overlay of Alpine Road.
This here is an agreement to overlay Alpine Road from 73rd Street south to the end of the pavement, where the city will, Wapco County will pay the initial bill, but the City of Agency will reimburse the county for their portion of that project.
In what time frame?
Right now, I'm still working with the railroad to get right away.
I mean, how soon will agency pay us back?
As soon as I send them an invoice, I believe it's in there. I can't remember.
What was the cost of the whole project?
Estimated cost, I believe was, shoot, I can't remember off the top of my head. We do have it within our construction budget.
Now, does this involve the part where you said there are a couple people that want to do?
So, no, that does not. This only involves the city's portion of the road.
Where does that run in relation to the railroad tracks?
The city owns a few hundred feet just south of the railroad tracks.
Okay. So this deal is
Just
us and
just
the
for
city
between us and the city.
to do that portion that's in the city limits,
That is
but
existingly paved.
and part of it is ours anyway.
Yes.
I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve it.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Resolution number 37, participation in SS4A grant application.
So the Engineer Service Bureau, County Engineers Association, they are going after in a safety grant from the federal government. They are asking all 99 counties to approve this grant or approve participation in it to go out and seek for that grant money, which would be basically a safety plan that this money would pay for every county in the state of Iowa to have a safety plan and to designate, like, kind of give direction on how to improve safety within every single county across the state of Iowa.
Safety in what regard? Workers or?
So alignment, road rehabs, widening, intersections, they'll look at crash data. We had one done by Kirk and Michael probably 10 years ago. However, that does not include some items that the federal government wanted us to look at. So it's a whole new safety plan. It would be free to the counties, is what this grant is for.
So this here resolution is just applying for the grant? The
Yes,
grant
allowing
application.
the county engineers on Wapco County's behalf to apply for a grant.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to support the resolution.
So be.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Any other business to come before the board? Anyone to address the board? Yes, sir. Could you give her your name, please?
Chuck Harris, Polk Township trustee. We recently had a fence dispute that got appealed. And I'm not too happy about it. The letter that the lawyer sent our clerk. there's some false documentation in it that they presented to us. And I just want you and county attorney to know that.
I have an email to meet with the county attorney this morning about that, to inform us of the information provided that was not correct.
Yeah.
He said he'll meet with us
There's
this
quite a
morning.
few. I can go meet with you if you want to meet with him, if you want to go over this.
You might talk to him to see when he planned to talk to us about it. 'Cause I got the email
I'm free
yesterday.
all day.
Okay, he's just across the alley, and whenever he says, we'll be available.
All right.
Anything?
I have another question. I talked to him a little bit yesterday about this. How come, I can kind of understand it, but why do you farm your real estate cases out like this fence dispute? He said he'd have an attorney in Des Moines take care of it.
Well, we never did before, ever. But because of the heavy caseload on criminal issues there, we were finding that if we had and fence disputes, we don't usually do because we usually resolve those right here. This is a rare instance. But on some of these others, they are affecting a neighbor or something, and it was taking us months before we could get any legal opinions as to how we should proceed on it. So we thought, for the benefit of the public, we probably should go another route while they are so busy over there and do something that was quicker. There's one at Dahlonega we've been dealing with for well over a year. And all it is a fence that's on county property. But he has to look at what priority in prosecution of criminal cases is his priority. So if we want to get quick answers faster, we had to
I don't
go.
care if the farm will work out to somebody else. I just want to make sure that the trustees and everybody involved is interviewed or something about the case. Because what they filed here is a bunch of BS.
His email said he didn't say BS, he said incorrect information. And he was going to meet with us this morning on.
Part of this, about 3 years ago, this neighbor took the other neighbor to court over 2 acres of ground that was supposedly surveyed in 1971, and they went clear back to that date, to that survey, and the guy ended up losing 2 acres of it. Well, I talked to the guy that bought the whole farm back in the 70s, and he subdivided all that so that 1971 survey didn't even matter, because the guy later on bought the whole farm and then re-divided it. So that survey that they used in that case 3 years ago shouldn't even been used. And the guy that bought the whole farm and re-divided it lives a mile down the road. I got testimony from him that that shouldn't have been the case. He shouldn't have lost that 2 acres. But no attorney ever contacted me, and I let the lawyers know about it. And nobody ever contacted me back.
Okay. Well, if you want to talk to the county attorney, I could, but then I wouldn't be able to tell you when we could meet. But if we're going to be available all morning. We meet with the roads people right after this, but then we'll be available.
Coach people in here.
The engineer.
Yesterday, I saw a guy out on 34 that throws some asphalt in a pothole. Went from a pothole to the speed bump. Just never tamped it down or packed it down.
That was on 87th Street.
old highway 34.
We can question him about that because we meet with him right after this meeting every Tuesday.
Seen him throw a bunch of asphalt out, backed up, drove over part of it, but the other part he just left.
Well, you can tell the county attorney, just give us a call, will we? Anything else to come before the board?
Jerry, on the window project, how many windows are you looking
Approximately 110.
at?
And the reason I say approximately is some of these windows, like where the courtroom is, up on the 5th floor, they're really large. And they could be considered 3 windows. The big one in the middle and 2 that are connecting on the side. So that's why it's approximately 110. It depends on whether you count that's 3 or is that 1.
Is that something that you think will be done by the end of the year?
Oh, no. No, it will take probably 12 weeks
Yeah.
to get the windows made. Because see, these aren't ones where you can just go over to Walmart and say, hey, we need to put, these were built over 100 years ago. And we're waiting on a asbestos contractor to come in and give us a review as to what lead paint we have to secure and what asbestos, if any, has to be removed. And we'll get that report while they're making the windows. This here today, approving this allows us to go to bids. And we're going to take the bids by August the 30th at 3 o'clock. They have to have the bids in.
Yeah.
The completion date is in 23. So we have a lot of things to put together. The asbestos contractor saying yes or no, there is no asbestos to be abated. And if there is, how long is that going to take? Well, we hope to get all of that done while they're making the windows.
Chad, you asked about the walk bridge.
Yeah.
I did talk to Klinger Associates yesterday morning because I haven't heard from him. And he said that they're working on it. I got a cost on the bridge itself because it's a pre-built bridge. He said it can run anywhere from 130 to 150,000 just for the bridge itself. And that's not doing the piers or anything. That's above and beyond. But he wants to come up and take a look at it because some of the information that the surveyor sent down to him is not working out quite right. So that's what I've got in it so far.
So have they given any indication what the pier to cost?
No, they don't have any idea yet.
Just the walk part will be 130.
Yeah, yeah, because it's a very, very nice bridge.
And the thing to remember, there were like every 10 foot or 12 foot, there were piers there because there was trains driving over it. This is not going to be that way. So the number of piers will be reduced to maybe even just one in the middle.
So he's wanting to come up, like I say, this week maybe and get with us and the engineer and go over and check everything out, see what's not mating up with what they've got. So that's all I got on it right now.
Yes.
As a fire board member of the Blacksburg Fire Department, I'd also like to add that we're pretty happy with the radios.
Good.
Now you have the Motorola radios, right?
They're using the 6 today too.
Using the portables indoor or just a mobile? I thought you just had 2 mobiles.
2 mobiles.
So are you able to use that when indoors next to a patient, or what's the use case?
You'd have to talk to the EMTs about that. I'm just a board member.
You're not being told. There's many layers to the end. Yeah, two mobiles in a personal vehicle doesn't encompass the whole fire department. Just to be fair on this.
No, you're right.
I don't want us to rush into a decision that doesn't work for every responder. Because that'll be a disservice. And Chad feels the same way.
I agree.
I know you mentioned this. This,
It's six, yeah.
Essex.
Yep.
And they had mentioned at one of the meetings that they were happy with those, with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely, for what they're using today, but to Tim's point, I know they're not fully using it today for portables and stuff like that, so
We encourage you to invite a bigger conversation or come be part of 911 board or ask you to talk about our work on the 911, because we are carefully studying all the options and making sure we make the right decision forward. It's whatever it is will be a significant investment. It's important we do it right.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a downside, do you think, Tim, to not doing it at all?
We're just not keeping up with the pace of the needs of our responders and our public. It's the downside. I mean, there's counties that remain on VHF systems, and there's different modalities that we perhaps could make VHF marry up with this newer platform. I mean, that's an option on the table. It's not ideal, it's not perfect. There's counties that do it. Sheriff mentioned Marion County. That's one of them. Sheriff's office is on Essex. The fire departments are still on VHF. A lot of it boils down to cost. The sad part is that the fire levies are a 1970s funding model. They're not keeping up with the needs of the fire equipment.
I asked Jeff to show the pictures of the bridge we had painted.
It's like everything else. It's like the cost of your cell
Down by
phone. We can't barely keep up with ourselves in the first place.
Did they get a paint?
It's not the same thing.
I'm the fan of Dr. Seuss.
Just a new map for 'em.
The questions are hard and you have to ask all of it.
But they could go in tomorrow, put more graffiti.
He already did. That's what I'm saying. It's done.
Oh. Anything else to come before the board? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Let's do adjourn.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Danielle, that resolution on the windows, as soon as we sign it, could I get a copy of that? And I gotta send it up to the engineer.
I'll email you guys, I sent her as well, just a copy of the presentation.